welcome back to Yoga Eat Love. I'm your host, Sabrina Callie. So, we're in the middle of our Foodie series, the eat of Yoga Eat Love, so to speak. So, today I want to talk about the thing that everyone seems to be obsessed with lately, protein. And not just how much you need, but where it's coming from, how it's affecting your energy, and why relying so heavily on animal protein may actually be working against you. We'll talk about how to nourish your body with plant-based foods in a way that feels simple and sustainable, the deeper energetic impact of what you eat, and some small shifts you can start making today to feel lighter, more connected, and more clear. And I'll even walk you through my 5 keys to living more plant-based so you can begin adding more plants into your life without overcomplicating it. So, protein. Protein. It is all over the place these days. How much you need, if you're getting enough, make sure you're getting enough. Even Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks have jumped on this protein obsession bandwagon by adding protein to their coffees and milkshakes. Yes, I said it, milkshakes. Your fancy coffee is actually a milkshake, just in case you didn't realize it. Anyway, so yes, we need protein. Even more so, science is showing for women and men after a certain age, it helps to regulate hormone levels and keep muscle strength, right? Like valid. The going rate is around 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal based on your weight. And all of that is real. I'm not here to discredit that. That's valid. It's nutritional science. But what I do want to challenge and what I don't hear enough of is this line of questioning. What kind of protein am I consuming? Where is it coming from? And how is it actually affecting me? So this is a protein conversation from a completely different lens. And if you need to put a label on it, let's say it's a not fanatic yogic lens. So yes, you can absolutely get protein from plants. Now, we may at different stages in life need to supplement our protein intake with eating meat here and there, right? Even as a yogi and so-called quote unquote vegetarian and plant-based chef, I do eat meat occasionally. But what I like to offer or suggest is a way of living more plant-based or eating more plants that's more aligned with nature, with our energy and our bodies, how they were actually designed to thrive. Because we've seemed to normalize, and when I say we, I'm speaking about our American culture. Those of us who live in the States or the American culture that has spread out into the world. Anyway, we've seemed to normalize relying on heavily, almost completely on animal protein and super processed protein. You know, not just every single day, but multiple times a day. And when you really step back and look at it, it's not how we were designed as humans to eat. Our species, the human Homo sapiens species, were a tribal species made up of mostly hunter-gatherers. So our physical bodies were designed to be omnivorous. We're designed to be omnivores. So that means, for those of you who aren't really familiar with that term, it means to eat both plants and meat depending on what's available. And so, like, side note, if you've never read The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan, I think that's his name, Michael Pollan, yes. Anyway, I highly suggest reading it. Even he agrees that we should be eating, even after all of his studies, he agrees that we should be eating mostly plants. And even in some blue zone studies, you might hear that term blue zone pop up here and there, where people in different areas of the world, there's a high percentage of those who have lived beyond 100 years. There's a great Netflix documentary about this too. But all of that research also shows that eating more plants or a mostly plant-based diet is a huge factor in living a really long, vibrant life. So anyway, Side note ended, back to what I was talking about. We were designed or evolved to be mostly hunter gatherers. So, mostly gatherers eating plants, and then adding in animal protein only after a successful hunt, which, if anyone's ever tried to hunt before or watches Naked and Afraid, it doesn't happen every day, right? You have to like get lucky. It takes a lot of effort to go out and hunt physically, right? And that protein source from an animal kill doesn't always happen every day. So we need to sustain ourselves in other ways. That's why we're mostly hunter gatherers, right? We gather mostly eating the plants that are around us in our environment that are ripe, various leafy greens and foliage and what's growing in the wild, the plants that can be foraged, fruits and vegetables, also plants that can be farmed, right? That in gathering, that's part of it. Nuts and seeds, all of these things, in addition to that animal protein. And that's the way we were built. Mostly plants, add on some meat that we killed ourselves and shared within our tribe. And this is in perfect balance and harmony with the cycle of nature, cycle of life, cycle of energy, and energetic exchange. One life of an animal taken from the whole to feed, clothe, make tools from, etc., and give to the entire tribe. Now, think about where most of us are buying our meat from these days and how it's processed. We go to the supermarket and the grocery store, it's in plastic packaging, mass produced from slaughterhouses and gigantic animal processing plants, completely disconnected from the life it actually came from the environment that it actually came from. Meat being shipped all over the country and the world for that matter. There is no energy exchange at this point. There's a huge disconnect here. We're completely removed from that cycle of life and balance of nature. And the meat we eat from the grocery store is not just dead physically, it can be said that it's dead energetically as well. There's no exchange. It's just calories and fats and proteins. It's just cells. There's no chi, there's no prana, there's no love. And by the time it gets to us, it's completely unrecognizable from its original form. I would even ask, how many of you would you eat chicken or steak if you had to go out and kill the chicken or cow and viscerate it and butcher it? I know a lot of people wouldn't. I hear that from people all the time. But that's something to think about, right? If you are raising your hand right now and being like, there's no way that I could do that, it might be something to consider. Like maybe you shouldn't be eating that. Maybe that's not right for you energetically. And once upon a time in my early yogi studies, I decided that that was the way I needed to live. I was already fairly plant-based and almost entirely vegetarian, but I got to a point, especially as a chef, that I was like, okay, I decided if I couldn't kill it, I didn't have the right to eat it. And that felt right for me at the time. And for some reason, fish was okay because somehow I was okay with fishing and I could kill a fish and fillet a fish. But any other animal with legs, I was like, no way, And when I made that decision, I started to feel the energy shift in me right away. And then as the years continued and my own experimentation and studies progressed, I started to not only zoom in even closer, but also zoom out even more and gain this even bigger perspective, because food is not just about the nutrients. It's not just about the protein and the carbs and the calories and the fats. Food is also energy. Food is prana in yogic terms. It's this vital life force. And food is love itself. And what we eat actually becomes who we are. It becomes our cells. It becomes our organs. It becomes our blood. It becomes every single part of our human body. It is the most intimate. The most intimate. Right? Think about that for a second. What you put in your mouth, what you eat and chew and swallow and digest becomes who you are. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this next week because we can go really deep here. So let's just pin that for a second and go back to what we're talking about, because when we're constantly consuming or regularly consuming dense, heavy animal foods that were most likely very stressed out when they were slaughtered, it creates a kind of heaviness and stress in the body, in the mind, and in the nervous system. That energy of that stressed out animal, if anyone has ever thought about or studied energy in any way, it doesn't disappear, it gets transferred. So that stressed out animal, that stressed energy, that scared, fearful energy, stays in the cells of that animal, and it gets transferred to us when we eat it. So we eat that dense, stressed out meat, which in turn becomes our very makeup, which can actually make it harder for us to feel happy. Whoa, right? It can make it harder for us to drop into meditation, drop into stillness, drop into peace, because we're feeding ourselves with this energetically dead, stressed out, fearful food, if you're thinking in energetic terms. So if you've ever felt like, why can't I slow down? Why do I feel so disconnected? Why can't I connect? If you're in a practice and like you're not really feeling anything, or if you ever tried to meditate, like, why can't I sit and meditate? I'm like all over the place. Or why am I agitated for no reason? How come I'm not happy? This might be something to look at. What are you eating regularly, and where is it coming from? So in my kitchen clinic, the Eat More Plants kitchen clinic, we go into much more depth about this energy exchange, and I'm just kind of skimming the surface here. These are really big ideas and can be a little hard to grasp at first, but we dive into this idea of eating and living lighter in more harmony and being more peaceful by bringing in more foods that are peaceful and harmonious. And in the yogic tradition, we call them sattvic foods. And again, we talk about this more in the kitchen clinic. These foods that are lighter and more vibrant and more life-giving, these foods that are filled with that life force, that chi, that energy, foods that actually support a state of balance within us, a state of clarity and calm. And so if you're wondering, like, okay, this sounds good, I'm into this, I'm already doing this, how do I go deeper? Or I want to start, right? Like, how and where do I start? So I want to give you today my 5 keys to plant-based living, or how to live in a more plant-based lifestyle. And again, this is something I share with my private clients inside Soul Mastery and also inside the kitchen clinic. But let's go, right? 5 keys. Let's just jump right in. So number 1, cleanse. Starting with an easy reset, both energetically and physically. So not something too extreme, but like my 3-day mini cleanse is a great way to start to give your digestion a break and reset your system and start shifting cravings. And coupled with a small shift in mindset about protein, like this podcast, absolutely brilliant. And stay tuned in the next week or two, and I'll talk more about this mindset and cleansing the body and the mind through what you're consuming, not just with what you eat, but what you consume with all five senses. All right, so that's number one, cleanse. Number two is eating the rainbow. What does that mean? Right? So eating the rainbow means eating a variety of plants. So that includes fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, all of the colors of the rainbow Roy G. Biv, right? The more nutrients, the more life force, the more color on your plate, the more rich in nutrition and prana. It's that simple, right? So every time you make yourself a meal, think about how many colors can I put on this plate, right? It is that simple. And again, we go into depth with this, giving you specifics about which color does what inside the kitchen clinic itself. And if you're interested, I'll drop the link for all of this in the description. Number three. So cleanse number 1, 2, eating the rainbow. 3, eating seasonal and local and as organic as possible. So seasonal and local, very simple. Eating with the rhythm of nature. What's growing around you is what your body actually needs. This is how we were designed to eat and live and thrive as human beings on the planet. Our ancestors weren't shipping in foods from all over the world that had to take a plane ride. We were eating what we could farm locally based on the season and what was around us. So listening and tuning in to those rhythms of what is seasonal and local is going to help so much. And then this idea of eating organic. So organic is a fairly new thing in our human experience. It's only really relevant in the past, 50 plus years as we've started to spray pesticides. And, our food source sadly is heavily contaminated. But it used to be just food. So the organic thing is kind of new. And there's a lot of different ways to go about this. And again, we talk about it in the kitchen clinic at length. And I give you help how to do all of this within reason and budget. But all I want to say here is that just do what is best for you and what is reasonable for you. I give this example, like if there's a head of broccoli and it's in season and it's local and the organic broccoli is like $8.99 and the conventional is $3.99. I mean, just go with the conventional, right? Wash it really well. You do your best. You do with what is able or what is possible for you without stretching into the ridiculous mode, right? It's important to remember in all of these yogic practices and studies, and especially in food, as we start to get deeper into what to eat and what not to eat, is that we try not to be fanatic. Once we go into the fanaticism, it's a really ugly trap. All right. So just do the best you can with what is available. All right. So number 4 is eating whole foods. It doesn't mean shopping at Whole Foods necessarily. It means eating as many or as much real food that's not processed and not packaged, but ingredients and whole foods that are in their most natural state. And I like to think about this as, think about the foods that you're eating on a daily basis. You want it to look like what it looked like when it came out of the ground. Right? So if you're buying potatoes, buy the whole potato, and then in your own kitchen, you process it any way you want to, right? If you want to roast them, if you want to slice them and fry them, if you want to make mashed potatoes, if you want to add them to a soup, right? Any way you want. In your own kitchen, slice and dice, add the love back in, right? But try not to buy stuff that is super packaged and processed. Like if it doesn't look like a potato when you buy it from the store or from your farmer's market, which would never actually happen, but just giving a visual, right? If it doesn't look like a potato at all, right? Maybe try not to eat that. It's not going to be the most nutritious, certainly. It doesn't have much energy left in it at all, right? It's been handled a million times, processed in a factory. I'm thinking specifically about like boxed mashed potatoes and things like that, or even like the shredded bagged potatoes. I know it's a quick cheat, but like, how long does it really take to shred some potatoes in a grater? It doesn't take that long, right? You can do it, and that keeps the love and it keeps the vibrational frequency of these whole foods that's going to help your own energy levels. All right, and then number 5, a reframe. And this is a big one because we're reframing how you actually build your meals. And I talk about this at length and teach how to actually do this inside the kitchen clinic. But here's the reframe, really simply, right? It's time that we move from eating off of plates to bowls. So I teach you how to build a bowl, how to layer a bowl, a nourishing bowl that's satisfying and delicious, right? There's a way to do this. So moving from eating off of plates to eating out of a bowl is a really, really helpful key to living a plant-based lifestyle. And this is really what the kitchen clinic is all about, right? It's not a diet. It's not a strict plan. It's about teaching you how to be like a chef in your own kitchen and honestly in your own life, learning flavors, what's seasonal, what's local, how to pair different foods together, and what works for your body. Because healthy food shouldn't feel restrictive and it shouldn't feel complicated and impossible. And it doesn't have to be super expensive. It should feel delicious and creative and liberating and should fill you up with energy and love. And I give you the tools and the structure and the recipes and the pantry list and the support and everything to go along with it. But more than anything, it's important for me when I share that I'm not spoon feeding, telling you what to do when, right? I'm teaching you how to do this for yourself, how to do it on your own. It's like that, what's that adage? You teach a man or woman to fish, right? I want you to be able to do this for yourself without relying on someone else to do it for you or tell you what to do. And so here's the part that not many people are talking about. And I mentioned this already briefly at the beginning, but it's worth repeating. So if you feel like meditation is hard, like you can't slow your mind down, like you're stuck in stress or frustration or even anger, it might not just be your mindset. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's actually very common. It might be about, well, it's probably 2 things. One, you need a technique. If you're trying to sit in meditation and you don't have a technique, that's going to be really difficult. Number 2, if you've worked with me before and you have a technique and you still have a really hard time, it might be what you are putting in your body every single day, because what you eat directly impacts your state of consciousness, your state of being. What you eat literally becomes every single cell in your body. And when we reduce heavily animal-based food consumption and start bringing in more plants, these higher vibrational sattvic foods, everything starts to shift. So if this is resonating with you, start simple, right? Stay here with the Yoga Eat Love podcast. We have one more episode coming up in this series. You can begin with my 3-day mini cleanse. That's a really great way to reset your system, clear things out, give your digestion a break, start to shift your palate, and then take that momentum into the kitchen clinic. And again, I'll drop all the links for you in the description. Join if you'd like. If not, that's fine too. But I do encourage you to start adding more plants into your life, whatever path you're deciding to take right now, right? One meal. I'm combining words. One meal, one bowl, one shift at a time. And you don't have to be perfect, right? In fact, please don't be. Just start. So if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share the love. Let's move with your energy, not against it. Until next time, stay connected to your breath, your body, and your own inner wisdom.